the oldest writings in the world, and to this date they didn't found older writings. You know, it was taught that the pyramid text was the oldest text, but the reality is that they, in Africa, of course, in Egypt, it's like, you know, they say once you kick over a stone in Africa, man, you have to rewrite the chronology. You know, you know, Egypt is already undisputed. It's undisputed. It will never be defeated. So just give up on that. Just give up on that. It's too much topsoil evidence that has all that can never be defeated, and that's what's critical. The advanced technology that existed at such an ancient time, proving that Africa is even, man, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of years older than Egypt. Egypt is a child in African knowledge. Egypt is a child. And so yeah, we dealing with some serious dates to prove, you know, how ancient literacy, and like I said, improved beyond any reasonable doubt. I don't need nobody to agree with me. You ain't got to agree. It ain't gonna change shit. It ain't gonna change nothing. That, the only literate civilization, and Walter Williams was right and exact. He was right and exact. And it hurt a lot of people. It hurt a lot of people, man, because a lot of people use the Greeks. I use the Greeks, but I know how to use them. I know, since y'all want to say they the oldest, I use it. Black Power family, I use it in order to, prove a fact of what, say for instance, they said that the Egyptians was black. They did, but the reality is that is not an original text. It cannot change that. I cannot, negate the obvious. It's not an original text. There was never histories written by Herodotus from the time of Herodotus. I have to accept that. No matter what he said, no matter what he said, I have to accept that fact. And so when you talking about writing, you can look, wait, matter of fact, let me make sure, because I know my phone is getting low. When you look at Imhotep, now Imhotep lived around 2700 BC. That's at the time where he builds the pyramid of Saqqara for the pharaoh Zoser, and that was in the third dynasty. That was in the third dynasty, and I believe Zoser very well was the first pharaoh of the third dynasty. I believe he was. I have to see to verify that fact. But, and so when you see Imhotep, Imhotep already has a scroll in his lap. Anytime you see Imhotep, you'll see Imhotep with a scroll in his lap. You see? So, even at the time of Imhotep, there's no way you could build a pyramid without geometry. That means that you have to, just like any building today, you got to map out the geometric layout, the mathematical layout. You can't just go throwing stones on top of shit. It's already just like any structure today. This is where they got architecture, architectural engineering, what they call. I used to have it when I was drafting, where you had to draft, and you had to design it before you build it. Okay, you have to design it before you build it, which require numbers. You got to have numbers. See, a mound, people keep talking about mounds, and I have spiritual reverence for the mound, but the mound is something in the primordial. That don't make it less, but at the same time, when you start comparing, that just show you how mentally, you know, you know, mentally behind we are to compare a mound to a pyramid. You see, do you know the distance in technology and knowledge between the damn mound and the pyramid? And I hear niggas say all the time that, man, America got mounds older than the pyramids. Africa got goddamn mounds older than the pyramids. What the fuck? Africa got mounds older than these mounds. Africa got burials. We're not talking about nobody just dropping in the ground. Africa got burials where that means they dug the hole and purposely laid the body in the hole, put, trinkets down in the grave. You understand what I'm saying? This is this was purposely, you see, designed grave 75,000 years ago. Yeah, yeah. 75,000 years ago, Africa had graves. You understand what I'm saying? Purposely designed. We're not talking about nobody just dropping and motherfucker, the ground ate them up. Yeah, so don't bring me no mound. Africa got mounds older than the pyramids, but that was you talking about in that's a primeval state. That's earlier. But when you start talking about the pyramid, you're talking about a higher technology that has never been duplicated on the planet Earth. Okay? Yeah, that has never been duplicated on the planet Earth. And so when we start talking about writing, again, when you talk about the oldest Hebrew writing on the planet, the Dead Sea Scrolls, you say African or FBA, you can't compare FBA to African. How you gonna compare what is you talking about? How you gonna compare? There's nothing to compare. The goddamn Americas don't even have a damn writing into the Olmecs. What are you talking about? Make that make sense. See, the thing is, civilization as it exists today is modeled after ancient Egypt. How is you go? Even when they went to goddamn, yeah, yeah. When you start talking about the even if you want to say foundational Black American, that's 300 years. America was designed in 1776. So that's how you can't be a foundational Black if that's what you want to be. Now if you the Olmec, then you can't be the Olmec. The Olmec was before America. You see what I'm saying? So if you FBA, nigga, you exist within the time frame of America. But you can't compare Africa to the Americas because Africa is millions of years old. You see what I'm saying? It's not even no comparison. The evidence, the miles, not just in in Egypt. You talking about in Sudan. You talking about in Ethiopia. You talking about in Zimbabwe. You talking about all over Africa. You talking about megalithic structures all over Africa, man. Predate anything in the Americas. You got to be a goddamn fool. Motherfuckers talking about Egypt, the real Egypt is in America. No, it's not. Only a motherfucker that ain't never been to the real Egypt would say some dumb shit like that. There's nothing in America that could even compare to what is in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? So when you start, and when you change Egypt, then you have to change Israel and all that other shit. Now they saying Canada is Canaan and all this other crazy shit. You have to reinvent the whole goddamn world history to prop up a lie. You see, you're trying to prop up a goddamn lie. And so, there's you don't even have any ancient manuscripts in the Americas. You don't. And there's no excuse because they tried to destroy they tried to destroy Egypt as and they did destroy a lot of it, but they built on such a megalithic level that they still could not destroy Egypt. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, without a doubt, Africa is not to be compared. It's not even fair, really. Anybody that's got any lick of sense would know that. I don't even follow. I don't even listen to these niggas. I try to understand what they talking about to a certain extent, but once they get to talking about Africa and this, that, and the third. And then, like I say, I got so many trap doors for them niggas. It's ridiculous. They don't never really want to fuck with me. And not one of them would get on any live with me because they know they can't box with me. They know I'll beat their ass up. Real talk in real time. Don't need to go back to I don't need no notes. I don't need shit. You see what I'm saying? Because I know it off the top of my head. You see, the Americas don't even have literature. You see, and then when you talk about North America, I'm dealing with facts. The first written language of North America outside of the Olmecs, when you start talking about so-called Indians, is the Cherokee. That's a fact. That's documented. And you talking about in the 1800s. You see, you might find some carvings on some stone. Now, you very well may find some carving, but that's not a manuscript and that's not a language. You see what I'm saying? It's not like the Medunetta. Yeah, it's in the AD period. It is in the AD period. But you might find where they carve a pictograph or something like that in the stone. You see what I'm saying? But that's not a manuscript and it's not a language. Okay? So when you start talking about a written language, the Cherokee was the first written language in North America. That's a fact. Okay? That's a fact. Look it up. All you had to do is find me a manuscript. Just find me a manuscript and show it to me. You see? And people gonna say, well, they destroyed a lot. Well, goddamn it, they destroyed it all. They tried to destroy Egypt, but they couldn't destroy it all. I mean, goddamn, you can go anywhere on the planet, whether it be the Greeks, and they don't have writing, but they left a temple or something. You know what I'm saying? They left something. They left something. So if you talk about you over here and you on the same level of the Africans, you got to show and prove it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want you to dig up under the ground because Egypt is top soil. You understand? Everything that Egypt needs to prove itself is top soil. If you find something under the ground, hey, that's just icing on the cake. But the cake is already there. The pyramid is top soil. The temples is top soil. A lot of the Valley of the Kings, that's top soil. It's on top of the ground. You see? And they keep digging up under the ground to find something that's not there. So, that's the one thing about Egypt above and beyond all other civilization. Soon as you touch down, your eyes is going to prove it. Long before anybody else say shit to you, your eyes will prove it to yourself. Because you're going to go, if you go I tell people, travel. Go everywhere that you can go and go to Egypt last. Go to Egypt last. Go wherever the fuck you go to America. Go down there, go to Mexico. Go see the old Mecca and all of that. Go to Peru. See that over there. Go to Greece. Go to Rome. Go to all the major historical, and then go to Egypt, and that's gonna be the end of it. Your eyes gonna say, damn, ain't even no comparison. So see, what happens is if you don't see it for yourself and see how much of it is. You see what I'm saying? Overwhelming. Really, Egypt is overwhelming. It's overwhelming with evidence, and everybody else, you can't even, you still in the Mao era. God damn. You still talking about the Mao. We love the Mao. Africa got, do you know mounds was all over the planet? It wasn't just in the Americas. They had mounds in Africa. They had mounds, and even the Etruscans had mounds. They got mounds in China. They got mounds in Japan. They got mounds in Korea. They got mounds in West Africa, South Africa. They got mounds all over the world. So I don't know why motherfuckers in America act like they the only one created some mounds. Man, get out of here. Africa never die. Ain't nothing over here, and I've been to Egypt, and there's nothing over here that I would ever replace with going back to Egypt. Only a fool would ever believe. That's why when you talk about the top civilizations, see, I can't listen to no fool like you. Even the top civilization, Greece, Rome, even the so-called Israelites and all them nations, they give documented evidence that Egypt is the greatest. I mean, don't nobody even talk about the civilizations over here. They was unheard of. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Man, y'all are making up shit as you go. You're making up shit as you go. Okay? And matter of fact, I'm glad you came in because North America just came out of the Ice Age. If you was over here in the ancient, and we know that the Ice Age just ended 11,000 years ago. So if the black man and woman is original, this the original motherland, and people got to understand that the same ice age that created or I ain't gonna say created, but that's where the white man came out of the cave from the ice age. This is the same ice age that was in Europe was over here in North America. So make it make sense. How the fuck did, how could you exist in North America in ancient times during the ice age? The glaciers came down to the middle of the United States. You see what I'm saying? With 8 to 9 month winters, it's not going to produce no people with no high level melanin. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. That's foolish. That's foolish. That's foolishness, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So explain to me what you was doing over here in the ice. Explain to me what you was doing. Wearing buffalo skins just like them goddamn Europeans. That's what y'all was doing. If you was over here, that's what y'all was doing. Wearing buffalo skins just like them damn cavemen over there in Europe. You see what I'm saying? Now the only area, and even the South was still cold. It wasn't as cold as the North, but I was doing the research. Do you know during the Ice Age that the winters of the South is just like the winters of the North today? Do you understand that? Do you understand that the winters of the southern United States was like the northern United States today? And the northern United States was like the fucking North Pole cold. You see what I'm saying? Because it was covered in ice. Michigan was covered in ice. And when the glaciers began to recede, that's what drug the Great Lakes in there. That's why the Great Lakes is fresh water, because that come from glaciers. You see what I'm saying? It don't come from salt water. That's fresh water. And so those are glaciers. So let that be known. And even the glaciers is really what drug all the topsoil off a lot of that over there in what they call Middle America. What is I forget certain areas. Just in Middle America, drug the topsoil off of that shit. You see what I'm saying? So y'all got to make this shit make sense. Y'all is just making shit up. as you go. But anyway, I appreciate y'all being in the house today. Uh, we got one more before we tap out tonight. But anybody want to come in and y'all want to shadow box with the general? Come on with it, cause I'm ready. You feel what I'm saying? I'll see y'all in a minute. Black Power.